All jokes aside, you know how niggas be like, I'm this and that for life, I'm this and that for life. I'm one West for life, nigga, this a blood oath. Hey, yo, Madara, here go a class for you, my nigga. 140 for the rebel. The world turned its back on me. I'm a cripple. We got soldiers, he got soldiers, but I got different ones. Ain't no way out, I'll tell you once. Don't pray for nothing, sin and curse. We can't forgive what's forbidden. Remain in them trenches. Trust in the Lord, but please forgive me for the times that I did. If rank is given, have your respect to your apprentice. Be about your business, disloyalties and death sentence. Look, trying to pick up with a blind field. Hey, they said there'll be many mansions. I'm just grinding for my time share. Them devils ain't playing fair. They hunt you like Van Pelt. But ain't no getting out the game like Jumanji. You take that oath, it's a Dundee. They try to deal death to a priest. You won't make it out in one piece. So you can stand. Just make sure you got the heart. Say your name 3 times and his death do his part. No. So how you feel about this truth I done shown? This ain't the life you think, little nigga. I should want. Even your own people go disown. And the Lord said they hate you for my name. So you better keep it on. Ain't no more guessing. Ain't no more questions. Make sure my election till I'm tucked away like George Jetson. Murder for capital, now it's murder at the Capitol. The world in amazement, we like fuck 'em, raise it. I pity those watching life as it goes by. Be giving mercy in this life, I don't know why. In pump smoke, never try to. The dead at home, my brother be the dead, it's all I don't. Either fold or salute, my nigga. They like, how you stay focused? I told them I'm motivated cause of you, my nigga. Brotherhoods and weapons, still got weapons on the scene. And I never do my niggas like Bishop did Raheem. Never mind in all beliefs, they under anesthesia. Shorty say she leave me, said she wanna let that love go. Told I let that love grow. But if I bring you to my bed, that's a blood oath. So, how you feel about this truth I done shown? This ain't the life you think, little nigga. I should want. Even your own people gon' disown. And the Lord said they hate you for my name, so you better keep it on. Yeah.
Any man.
Like Smart. Pendo killed the beat.
I don't know who, somebody need to hear this. Y'all speak Hebrew, that's Yiddish. How the fuck you try to label us anti-Semitic? We the Israelites, blacks, native Hispanics. The Germans get locked up for the Holocaust. Meanwhile, black people still up in the Holocaust. 100 million of us died in the transatlantic. 6 million died. Y'all want the world to never forget it. You can never be a Jew. You are Ashkenaz. This ain't a star dum-dum. A gun that would die. Yeah, Yeezy told the truth and got ostracized. Not one person in the Bible had on the yarmulke. We were slaves in America like we was in Egypt. Y'all don't even fit the curses in the Torah neither. Y'all was blind to the truth. I had to make it clear how Jerusalem, your land, your people came from Europe. That was 1947. Your menorah got 9 sticks. It's really only 7. Yeah, it's us against the world. Armageddon. This what happened when you inherit lies from your ancestors. Y'all the synagogue of Satan with them black hats. Your whole nation sitting ducks, Aflacs, bunch of thieves and culture vultures ain't nothing kosher. To tell the truth, you vagabonds don't have a culture. Macedonia, Alexander and Philip, you a convert, so tell me, how the fuck is you Israel? That don't make you the people just cause you litter. Why my people can't hate your people like y'all hate Hitler? All the prophets was black and was called nigga. Y'all don't even fit the description that's in the scriptures. Abraham, all the way down to Jacob, we the real Jews. Y'all don't study Christ, y'all follow the Talmud. Keep it real, yeah, let's keep it real. Cold hard truth, it give you chills. Say y'all Jewish cause y'all ain't really them. About to do them like Hammond, this the Feast of Purim. You BK undefeated, this an easy win. We was born fighting, y'all the evil twin. Jacob took hold of his heel, then out came his little red bastard, they kosher deals. It's only 12 tribes, y'all trying to make it 13. Esau despised his birthright, the Lord cursed him. He ain't the devil, who is? I'm still searching. Ask your rabbi, why he give them babies herpes? I don't know what's worse, that or you claiming that you a Maccabee. I'm about to cancel, everybody try to cancel ye. I ain't afraid to speak, that's what I do. They riding to the core, I'm just judging them by their fruit. Cause they ain't suffering curses. If I was carnal, I promise I'd punch you in person. I know this an uncomfortable subject. They making millions off our culture and black people suffering from it. Yeah, they don't believe in Christ. They the Antichrist. Make a living off of niggas. They're a parasite. I ain't afraid to tell the truth. Niggas terrified. I'm about to go DEFCON 4. I ain't satisfied.
That is proof. That is absolute proof that they know we are the real Jews. That's absolute proof. Now, you got the records. Go find me a white Jew on any archaeology in Egypt anywhere. You will never find a piece of archaeology with white people as slaves in Egypt. So don't tell me that they were slaves and it's their identity, and they know it. And I know the blasphemy of them, but they are Jews. They are not. The Lord knows the blasphemy of you so-called white people that say you are Jews and you are not Jews. You are not the people of the law. You are not God's chosen people. God's chosen people are living in the ghettos of America. God's chosen people are in poverty and depression in the streets of America. God's chosen people are walking around in America with no identity. That's where God's chosen people are.
We live? Hey, clap it up. 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 It is a history day. You know what I'm talking about? Hey, shalom, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Barakatham to all the brothers. Yahweh, Shamar, Alathan, Hashem, Yahushua to all the sisters. We are the ISUPK. Start out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. Hey, am I centered on the camera? I'm perfect. Hey, man, hey, you know what I'm talking about? I try to be. That's what Christ said. Be ye perfect as my Father in heaven is perfect. Yes. You dig? You know what I mean? But today we are covering is ISUPK San Antonio history class, and we are covering the Roman Empire, the filthy Roman Empire. Can I say that? Because the Roman Empire is filthy, all about orgies and paganism and sex and drugs and murder, and you know what I mean? That's what Rome is all about. And America is an extension of Rome. Really, all the European, all the Edomite countries are an extension of Rome, right? What? Give me some of these countries, Capiar. If you ever, I'm pretty sure you've been here for the dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, right? What are the 7 heads that came out of Rome? Those European countries, conglomerates that came out of Rome. Yeah, a good way to remember it is to remember it in order. You feel me? Because first you're going to have Spain, right? Then you're going to have Russia, right? Then you're going to have Portugal. Yeah, you got it. I'm pretty sure you got the notes because I did the class before. Officer Dawud did the class before. Ayala one has touched on it in his classes before. I'm sure you got it. Mm-hmm. So you got Spain, England, and France. You said what? Spain, England, and France. Okay, but that's not in order. Oh. You want Spain, Russia, Portugal. Yep. P-O-R. Portugal. Portugal. Look at me. Well, I'm at the world spelling bee right now. You have to. Italy and France. Yeah, Italy will come next. Well, it'll be France, Italy, or Italy. Wait. She got me all off my rocker. Where was we at? Okay, Spain, Russia, Portugal, Germany, Italy, France, England. And I'm missing one, right?
Italy, then first?
Italy, France, England. Yeah, that's 7.
England.
Uh-huh. England is the last one. Because that's where America comes from. America's an extension of that, but it's an English settlement. You know what I mean? Because if France was in power, then England took over. England took over France, and then at that time, England was the world superpower at that time. 1600s and stuff like, you know what I mean? They were the world. They was the world's empire. Those are the 7 heads that came out of Rome. And then it says the 10 common markets. Do you have the 10 common markets, Caviar? 10 common markets will be are the countries like Luxembourg. Luxembourg doesn't have a language. Luxembourg speaks German. You know what I mean? Those are the little tiny countries that come out of those big out of the 7 heads. Those little small countries. Places like Luxembourg, Australia,
Is it Luxembourg?
yeah, Luxembourg. The 10 horns, the 10 common markets. They're in Europe. Ireland, Scotland. You know what I mean? Because you don't speak Irish. Irish is just a dialect of English. Scottish is just a dialect of English. You know what I mean? Austria, Hungary. Nobody speaks Hungarian.
What was after Australia?
It'd be like England, not England. Irish, and then Scotland, Ireland and Scotland.
How many people? No, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4. Australia, Ireland, and Scotland.
All right, so y'all want me to get deep on y'all. All right. Here it is. I'm gonna have to take my glasses off. All right. Y'all ready for it? So the 10 common markets, right? The 10 kingdoms, like, right? France, the one that came out of France was Belgium. Yeah. The ones that came out of France was Belgium. The ones that came out of Germany are the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Denmark.
What's that? Lexington and Denmark?
Yep, Luxembourg. Netherlands, Luxembourg, Denmark, Switzerland, and Australia. I mean, sorry, not Australia, Austria.
Came out of Germany?
Yep.
And then again, Australia?
Denmark, Switzerland, and Austria. And then the ones that came out of England would be Ireland, Scotland, Australia, and America will be that little horn. Would be a little horn. And that is your 10 common markets. Make sense? Does it make sense? This dude. Hey, what? You said what?
I mean, 8. You said there were 10. Australia, Ireland, Scotland, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Switzerland.
Okay, let's start with the 7 heads. You got 7 heads, right? You got Spain,
We got Spain, Russia, Portugal,
Germany, Italy,
Italy,
France, and England. That's 7, right? And then, so what? France, Belgium came out of France. You got Belgium. All right. Next one is Germany, and the countries that came out of Germany are the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Denmark, Switzerland, Austria. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the next one is England, right? That's a head. But the countries that come from them is Ireland, Scotland, Australia, and America. And that would be 10. We got that? It's a lot of history. It's a lot of history. But we have to cover that because Rome had all of Europe at one point in time. You know what I mean? All of Europe was in Rome. So all of those countries that's in Europe now, they come from the Roman Empire. You know what I mean? At one time it was just Italy. Then they took over France. What was the Franks? What would you call it? They're the Gauls, the Gallic people. Then they took over the Germanic people. Spain. It took over. They started in England, but they couldn't fully take over England. The Celtic people out there. You know what I mean? Then they went east, started taking over all that, like where Russia is all the way over there, the Eastern Bloc countries. That was all Rome at one point in time. At the height of its power. Are we ready to keep going?
Let me see one. Still. Luxembourg, Australia, Ireland,
Belgium.
Denmark, the Netherlands, USA, and Switzerland.
Austria.
Oh, yeah, that one. What's that one?
Austria. Australia. Read them off again.
Luxembourg, Australia, Ireland, Scotland, Belgium, USA, Denmark, Netherlands, and Switzerland.
It's not Lexingtonburg, it's Luxembourg. Luxemburg. Luxembourg.
And you said Luxen?
Luxembourg. Exactly how it sounds. Luxembourg. Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Denmark, Switzerland, and Austria, Ireland, Scotland, Australia, America. That's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10. That's 10. Hey, what's up, Ak? You 12? You did? My bad. I'm teaching. I was in the middle of teaching, bro. Yeah, talk about feel me?
Oh,
You said what?
you read about them all down. France, Belgium, Germany, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Denmark, Switzerland, Australia.
I know she got it all down, boy. We got Bible study at the house, boy. Nah. Real talk. All right, so we good on that? All right, and America is an extension of all of those countries, right? America is an extension of all of those countries. So America has all of those 7 heads in it. America has all of those in it. All right, so America is like the Roman Empire of today. You know what I mean? Back then, Rome, you couldn't do anything in the world without Rome trying to have a say so in it. So America's the same way today. You can't do anything without America having a say so in it, right? Now let's get where Rome came from, because we've been talking about what would you call it about the Greeks, right? And the Hellenized the Greeks, Alexander the Greek, right? And then how he died and his kingdom broke apart. Remember that, Capiar? Y'all remember that? We was talking about that, and how his what's the name broke apart into different kingdoms, and they went to war with each other, and then we was lost under the Seleucid Empire and Antiochus, that the king. Remember? And that's where we get the Feast of Dedication from. Yes.
I was gonna say his kingdom got divided between those.
Those 4 generals, and one of those parts of the kingdom was Lysander, which was over in the western part of his empire, and that's where Rome is coming from. That's where the Roman is coming from, because they're all Edomites, right? But what was in Italy first were not Edomites. They were not Edomites. That was in Italy first. You feel me? It was a Japhetic people. That was in Italy first. And then the Edomites that were there were like they were small, but then they start taking over these little tribes that was there, that were the Japhetic tribes that was there. They start taking over them and stealing their wives and things like that. Y'all remember when I did the breakdown of monogamy, and how they used to how the early Romans used to go and snatch and steal women from other tribes and put the sack over their head and drag them back to Rome and have sex with them, and you're my wife now. Remember that? You don't remember that, Taziar? You remember they were telling like Borat, how they was doing it. You wasn't around. You wasn't in class then. But yeah, that's how they were doing it. They were there to kidnap people's daughters from the Sabines. They kidnap their daughters and bring them back to Rome and have sex with them, and they become their wives. And that's how they started multiplying on the earth. What's up?
America being the extension of Rome, is not Rome anymore, right?
No, it's not Rome anymore.
So what would it be in the scriptures?
Babylon the Great.
Babylon the Great?
Yes. In the scriptures, America is referenced as Babylon the Great, or the old version, the daughter of Babylon. You know what I mean? Because there was another Babylon. Nimrod in Genesis, that was considered a Babylon. Then they had an actual Babylonian captivity with Nebuchadnezzar. And then this is Babylon the Great. You know what I mean? This will be the third Babylon. This is Babylon the Great. This is the last Babylon, the old virgin daughter of Babylon.
You said the third Babylon?
Yeah.
Who was the second?
Nebuchadnezzar.
Oh,
The Arabs. Iraq. Where Iraq is now, that was considered Babylon. That was considered Babylon back in the day. That's the second Babylon. And the first Babylon was with Nimrod, with the Tower of Babel and things like that. You understand that? That was Babylon, then Babylon again, and then this is the rebirth of Babylon, and this is Babylon the Great that we're in right now. That's what the Bible calls it, because when they were getting the visions from the Most High, They didn't know what they were taught. Like I'm not talking about. They didn't know what they were seeing. Like they were watching planes fly with smoke coming out the back of them, jets, you know what I mean, dropping bombs, and they were like, "Oh, look a dragon," you know, spitting fire out his mouth, you know what I mean, shooting bullets and missiles and stuff like that. A dragon shooting, you know what I mean, so they can only reference what they were seeing it as, you know what I mean. No, that's the vision Babylon. That's the vision that Daniel seen. And he was seeing up today, but he was seeing jets. You know what I mean? Planes flying and spitting bullets out. You know what I mean? So they was looking at the vision and they was writing down what they seen it as, because they didn't know nothing about planes. Yeah, though there was no planes back then flying, and you know what I mean? There was no nuclear bomb back then. But when they seen something that could melt the skin off their, you know what I mean, flame that could melt the skin off their bones, nobody knew what they were talking about then. But we read it nowadays, and we know what a nuclear bomb is now, right? You know what I mean? You understand? So when they're talking in the Bible, they're talking in their language, in their tongue, and their understanding of what's going on today, because they were seeing visions of the future. You dig? If I'm confusing anybody, just say so. All right. Where we were at the Sabians. All right. You got that article that the early history of Rome. Caviar. Mm-hmm. You mean early history of Rome? Because Rome was a republic. Rome didn't have an emperor. At one point in time, Rome had a senate, and then they had like military generals and the army, and you know what I mean. But they didn't have an emperor or a dictator or somebody that ruled the whole empire. You know what I mean? Until Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar came. He was the first dictator, and they killed him on the. We'll get into that. We'll get into Julius Caesar, but Rome was a republic. They voted on everything. They had democracy. Oh, it's like you understand that? You understand that? And what we're getting to is the early state of Rome. Because when we look at Rome, we see Julius Caesar, and then we see everybody after him, all the emperors and stuff, right? We don't never go back and see before that, because before that they were still trying to conquer things. You know what I mean? When Julius Caesar came around, Julius Caesar was conquering stuff. I want to say the other word. You know what I mean? And that's where that first conglomerate came into play with the money. Julius Caesar was the man of the people, and he was a general, and then Marcus Crassus was like a politician. So you had a general, right? And Pompey was a Roman general, and he had all the love of the soldiers. What's the name? Julius Caesar was a man of the people. He had the love of the people and the love of the soldiers, because he was also a general. Marcus Crassus was also a general too, but he was more in the Senate. You know what I mean? But that's what that whole conglomerate came into. It was called a triumvirate then, and they took over Rome basically, and that's where they put up Julius Caesar as the first dictator. But this is going before that. You got that for me? Go ahead.
Early history of Rome. The early history of Rome is somewhat shrouded in mystery. A lot of Romans' early historical records were destroyed when barbarians sacked the city in 390 BC.
Right, because barbarians did sack the city. Did sack the city of Rome. You know what I mean? In 390 BC, but then Rome came back. Came back after. Rome is always coming back. Even in the what would you call it? Even in the after Christ's death, they fell again, but then Eastern Rome came with Byzantium and Constantinople and things like that, right? We all know about but we don't know about Constantine. But we're gonna learn about Constantine because Rome was ruling for about 1,500 years. Rome was ruling for a while. You know what I mean? First in Western Rome, then Eastern Rome, and then Eastern Rome was backing up Western Rome. It's confusing, right? It's a whole lot, but it's not confusing when you go in order and you break down the history of it. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Caviar.
Historians and archaeologists have put pieces of the puzzle together to give us a picture of how Rome was likely founded. The founding of Rome. There are several different stories telling how the city of Rome was founded. Some are more historical, while others are
mythological.
Mythological.
Right, because they're gonna say that that Romulus and Remus are twins, and they was raised by wolves. That's what they're gonna say. They was raised by wolves, but they wasn't raised by wolves. They was just raised without a mother and a father. They was fending for themselves. Their mother and their father was killed in battle, so they were raised. They were like parentless children raising themselves. Go ahead.
There are several different stories telling how the city of Rome was founded. Some are more historical, while others are more mythological tales told by poets and authors.
Hold on. You see, where that highlighter at? Let me see that. Yeah, I got a highlighter now. Ooh-wee. Now I was reading, I didn't have no highlighter. My highlighter was over here. Right here. Read that. Yeah. Boom. So I was just using the pen to highlight because I ain't had no highlighter at the crib. Uh-huh.
This is the book of the Roman Empire, the Empire of the Edomites, by William Houston. Page 4. The Romans came from Esau.
Right, the Romans came from Esau. We know that the Greeks came from Esau, right? Alexander the Greek and all of his generals came from Esau, right? Also, the Romans came from Esau, which will be another sect of what broke down after Rome, after Greek Alexander the Greek Empire broke apart. That's another empire. We had the Seleucid Empire, the Egyptian Empire with Ptolemy, right? And then we have the Seleucid Empire where the Maccabees was fighting against the Greeks over there, and then also in Western Europe, they were fighting against the Roman Empire was coming out of the Greek Empire also. That's why they call it the Greco-Roman Empire. Go ahead.
Who is Edom?
It says who is what?
Who is Edom?
Right, Esau is Edom. So Esau is the Edomites, right? Go ahead.
And Italy is the Idumea.
Idumea is the Greek word for Edom. Right? So Edom is the English word. I think it's Edom in Hebrew. Edom in Hebrew. It's Edom in English, and it's Idumea in Greek. Go ahead.
Rome, the Bozrah, and of the Hebrew prophets.
Right, go ahead. Because there were Hebrew prophets in Rome, right? That's why they have a whole book called the Book of Romans. Yeah, right. Ain't that where Paul came from? Paul was a Roman citizen. You know what I mean? So we were in captivity in Rome also. You dig what I'm saying? Now we wasn't only captive in Greece. We were captive in Rome also. Go ahead.
The descendants of Esau, say the Jewish rabbis.
Uh-huh.
The sworn enemies of the descendants of Jacob.
So who are Esau?
The sworn enemies of the descendants of Jacob.
Who's the descendants of Jacob? That's the question. That's the question. Who's the descendants of Jacob?
Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Right, because Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and Israel had 12 sons, and that's the progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel, right? So they're saying now that Rome and the Edomites and everything that come after Rome, that's an extension of Rome, are the sworn enemies of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, are the sworn enemies of the descendants of Esau. So so it's not just America. It's also England. It's also Portugal. It's also Russia. It's also Germany. It's also France. It's also Spain. You know what I'm talking about? Because who took over my Northern Kingdom brothers? The Spaniards. And the Spaniards killed 200, almost 200 million so-called Hispanic brothers, 77 million Native American brothers. You know what I mean? They were doing a lot of murdering also. It wasn't just England and France, and it was a lot of Spaniards doing it too. And just because they speak different languages does not mean they're not all part of the same Edomite, what do you call it? The same Edomite family. They just speak different languages. You know what I'm talking about? Are blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans all family? Do we not speak different languages? Hell. You know what I mean? Is that it on that, the highlighted part? That's it on that. We'll go back to that book in a little bit. Give it back. We'll go back to it in a minute. You know, don't worry about it. I got it. I'm be coming out of there for like 2-3 weeks. You dig what I'm saying? Go ahead, Caviar.
Historical. Rome was likely first settled around 1000 BC. The first settlement was built on Palatine Hill because it was easily defended. Over time.
Stop. It said it was on Palatine Hill, right? Why is Palatine Hill easily defended?
They had the high ground.
They had the what?
The high ground.
Look at you sounding like a soldier. You know what I'm talking about? They had the high ground so they could see what was coming from miles if they were on top of a hill. You know what I mean? That's why Rome was built on the hill countries. Go ahead.
Over time, the 6 other hills around Palatine were also settled. As the settlement grew, it became a city.
Mm-hmm.
A public area was built between the hills and Palatine and Catapola that became known as the Roman Forum. Mythical.
Right. Now we're going to get into the mythical logic of it. So around 1000 AD, it was being settled over there in Rome. Right. That's when their first civilizations came up. First couple people here, there. You know what I mean? Then they came together and became a city. That's what happens, right? You know what I mean? You have a family. You have a family over here, a couple families, and then they start growing and having more kids and more kids and more kids. And then all of a sudden, you know, they come together and become a village, become a city. Right? Right now it's going to get into like Remus and Romulus and where they came from because they're Romans also, but they took over Rome and made Rome what it was, like a military state. You know what I mean? That's where back then, that's how people conquered things. If they had a dispute, they'd go to war. And whoever won that's who the Lord was with. You know what I mean? It was a lot simpler back then, right? It was a lot simpler back then. That's why is the ISUBK the truth? Because we never lose. We never lost. You look, Captain Tazariak is all over Cross the Line Radio and what's that app that they be on? Clubhouse. Never lost, never loses. You know what I mean? We don't lose. That's how we know the Lord is with us. Right? We don't get embarrassed. We do the embarrassing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
We haven't been taken down either. Like you know how the Black Panthers were, they were like completely broken down.
Yeah.
We haven't been broken down since 1969.
Right. You're absolutely right. We don't get to you can't break down what the Lord has ordained. You know what I mean? The Lord ordained this. So the Panthers wasn't of the Lord. That's why they were half them were Muslims. Other half Christians. Other half just gangsters and drug dealers, and you know what I mean? You understand that? But this here is of the Lord. You do what I'm saying? This here is of the Lord. We don't sin. We don't break God's laws. You do what I'm saying? We would rather die than to break God's laws. You feel me? That's why the Lord is with us. Go ahead.
Roman mythology says that Rome was founded in 753 BC by the twins Romulus and Remus.
Romulus and Remus.
Romulus and Remus.
Right, go ahead.
While building the settlement on Palatine Hill, Romulus killed Remus.
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 Romulus killed Remus, his brother, his twin brother, while they were building a settlement. So while they was coming up, half of the settlement was following Remus, half of the settlement was following Romulus. You know what I mean? Remember, they grew up without no parents. You know what I mean? It was just them two, and Romulus got jealous of Remus and killed his brother. Go ahead.
Became the first king of Rome.
He killed his brother to do what?
He became the first king of Rome.
He killed his brother to become the first king of Rome. You know what I mean? He wanted power. Don't that sound just like Edomites? Don't that sound just like Edomites? Go ahead.
Where does the name Rome come from?
Right.
Roman mythology and history states that the name comes from its founder, Romulus. There are other theories put forth by historians and archaeologists as to where Rome got its name. It may have come from the
Etruscan
word from the Tiber River.
Ruman. Yeah, because the Ruman it's like a valley, right? That's in Italy with where the rivers flow, right? And you know, if anything with civilization, it's always by bodies of water, by rivers, lakes. You know what I mean? Especially back then, because you needed water to survive. And in life, all the life, what would you call it? All the animals, right? The life goes to the water to drink from the water, right? So that's where you'll find your food, your water, and everything by the water. So that's where all the civilizations popped up at, right? And the Etruscan people the Sabine people, they were people that were there before the Romans. You know what I mean? And just like everybody, you know what I mean? We could share the land, right? Just like the Native Americans tried to do with the Pilgrims. Like, y'all can share the land. You know what I mean? Then they wanted to come and buy the land from the Native Americans. The Native Americans looking at them like, you want to buy the land? Okay, well, I guess you want to buy the sky next. You know what I mean? Like, because we don't care about buying the land. You know what I mean? The land is here for everybody. You can have that piece over there. We have that piece over here. No problem. You know what I mean? Only thing is the so-called the oppressor that the Bible speaks about is he wants ownership of everything, so he can dictate what goes on everywhere. You know what I mean? What's up, Tazi? Are you gonna say something?
Yeah, but where water is.
Yeah.
We're supposed to share it when we share it with, like before then, was we share it with anybody else, or we just like now?
Yeah.
Like I invite you in my house and you invite me in your house. Okay, that's my brother. And somebody else like, nah, he's here.
Well, I mean,
was it like that then?
Well, we always had like heathen nations in the midst of Israel, not living in between Israel, but they lived on the outskirts.
Oh, that's like I said. Oh, that's the one like on the big like that particular area. Like say the Mediterranean Sea, right?
Yeah.
And that was just for us.
Not for us. I mean, everybody. A lot of people settled on the Mediterranean Sea, not just us. You know what I mean? Because the Egyptians was living right there, and you know what I mean. Arabs was living above us, and across the Jordan Valley of the it was the Ammonites and Moabites.
So
you know what I mean? I'm not gonna say own it, but I mean we allowed them to live there as long as they paid tribute. You know what I mean? Everybody paid tribute, even when what's his name? Alexander the Greek conquered that area over there in Israel, right? When he conquered that area in Israel. He didn't conquer us and make us go by his laws. He let us keep our laws, our customs, and everything. You know what I mean? We just have to pay him a little tribute. We have to pay him some tribute. You know what I mean? Which is like taxes. Then you think what I'm saying? But they want to own everything, and then when they own things, they oppress people. You know what I mean? We're not oppressing people. You just better pay what you owe, and you don't want to pay what you owe. We just keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and the Lord is going to deal with that. Any other questions? Huh? They broke the door. Oh, I'm telling Officer Dawada. Oh, I'm telling. Don't worry, I'm telling. Damn. I'm telling. You know, ain't no such thing as a snitch in Israel. I'm telling. We going to council, boy. Ooh wee. I'm go ahead. Go ahead, all right. Go. Let's keep going, all right.
Settlement of Italy. You want to go to that?
Yeah, settlement of Italy. Hey, Taziar, come sit down real quick. We ain't. Oh, you gonna close it?
During the early formation of Rome, Italy was settled by many different peoples.
Right. So Italy was settled by many different people, not just a couple people. You know what I mean? It was a lot of different peoples there. You hot, sis? Oh, all right. We could turn another fan on somewhere. Go ahead.
These included the Latin peoples, the first to settle Rome.
Right. The Latin people was the first to settle Rome. So Edomites, you know how they say Latin is an Edomite language? It's not. It's not an Edomite language. It's just something that they took over years after. What's up? It's just something that they took over years after. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
The Greeks, who settled along the coast of Italy.
Right. It says the Greeks who settled along the coast of Italy. Remember, we was telling you about how the Greeks broke apart, and some of the Greeks went and settled over there by Rome. Right. Go ahead. The Sabines. Go ahead. The Etruscans. Right. Go ahead.
The Etruscans were powerful people who lived nearby Rome. They likely had a significant influence on the culture and the early formation of Rome. Some of the kings of Rome
were Etruscan.
Right.
Some of the kings of Rome were Etruscans. That's that part between 1000 BC and 726, 723. Around that area when Romulus came to part. Some of the kings of Rome were Etruscan. You know what I mean? Remember how you were saying, like, was we just like, no, you can't live here? No, some of the people of Rome, some of the kings of Rome were Etruscans. You know what I mean? And that's where Edomites always come and take over somebody's culture and start calling themselves that. Yeah, they start calling themselves that. You know, nowadays they call themselves Mexican. They call themselves Honduran. Some of the Spanish people. There's Italian Mexicans, and they be like, "Yeah, I'm Mexican, man. I'm Mexican, bro." And then you be like, "So what's your father? Italian?" You know what I mean? Goofy, like you know what I mean? Like in South Africa, some of the white people they call themselves South Africans. Like, I'm South African, man, and they hold it dear. Like I'm South African. Like, wait, you are not South African, huh? Yeah, you know what I mean? They call themselves Jews. They always come and take over somebody else's culture and start calling themselves that. Like what Alexander, right? Where'd he come from? Macedonia? Yeah, Alexander came from Macedonia, but he's not the real Macedonian. You know what I mean? If you look at the history of Macedonia, the kings of Macedonia was like Hanapepe. They're like Hanapepe, Hatapaya, and then it went to Philip. Then Philip II, then Alexander. You know what I mean? Because the Edomites used to be like mercenary soldiers for the Macedonians, and then they just took over the Macedonian. They took over Macedonian monarchy, Macedonian kingship, and then they started calling themselves Macedonians. You dig what I'm saying? Because they're better fighters. Because Esau was blessed with what, Capiar? They're better fighters. So everywhere they go, they take over things, and then they start calling themselves that. Now, you ever heard of a $5 Indian? Never heard of him? Hey, y'all gonna make me get up. Well, you can't come and get your bike because you broke the door. Y'all broke the door. I think y'all should go to y'all room for a little bit. But the $5 Indians are so-called Caucasian people. They're Caucasian people that call themselves Native American now because they're 0.5 Native American. They great grandmama was you know what I mean, was Native American. Now they call themselves, I'm full Native American now, $5 Indian, because they're 5% of Native American. So they belong. They should get some of the benefits of living on the reservation also, because they're 5% Native American. That's why that's what we're talking about. You know what I'm talking about? That's what they do. What's up, Capiar?
You know the one girl on my job, the short one?
Yeah.
They got me confused because I thought she was talking about how like her parents are from like her father's side are from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the grandparents are from Spain. I was like, so I'm now confused if she's Spain and white or if she's Hispanic. But she said they look Hispanic. So I don't know. I don't know what to believe now.
She told you. She told you. Where does your father's father come from?
What?
Yeah, where does your father's father come from? Hold on 1 second. Where does your father come from?
Father?
Uh-huh. You see how she can tell you where her father's father come from?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying. You know what I mean? But and yes, sis, there was black people in Spain. You know what I mean? The first slave ships came from here to Spain. You know what I mean? But that would be lost. You know what I mean? I don't know where my father, I don't know. You know what I mean? You know, a lot of slave ships came from Europe too. A lot of slave ships came from Europe, not only Africa. So when everybody say, "Oh yeah, we're from Africa, we're African Americans," no, not every black person came from Africa. So a lot of black people came from Europe also, where King James was living at and King Louis. You know what I mean? These are black men. What's up, Kaziar?
15, 20 years ago. Also that ultimately you know who you are if you don't.
You know who you are if you don't know?
It depends on how your spirit responds to
the truth.
Right.
Yeah, your spirit bears witness. You bring her in this class, she's not gonna last.
Who?
Oh girl, from your job, she's not gonna last. She's not gonna last because when we start bringing up all that type of Spain stuff, and you know what I mean, ooh wee, she's gonna be like, what? No, and yeah, you know what I mean. Like some Africans, like I remember Captain Desariac was telling a story about how they were how there was this black dude, dark-skinned person, and he didn't know if he was African or he didn't know if he was like black. You know what I mean? He didn't know what he was, so they invited him to class. And Captain Desariac said the whole class he just blazed on Africans, and he said the dude couldn't handle it. You know what I'm talking about? To where they had to throw him out. Come to class, we'll show you. We'll let you know. You know what I'm talking about? You won't even know why you blazing that hard. You know what I'm talking? The Lord just gonna put on your spirit, and then and the person in the back of the class is gonna be like, you know what I mean? And he's gonna have to get escorted out because it's not for him. Now you know. You know what I mean? You was on the fence, you didn't know, now you know. Any more questions? We good? We can keep going? We can keep going? All right. So the Etruscans and the Sabines were also people that lived by Rome, near Rome. Go ahead, Caviar.
The kings of Rome. Before the Roman Republic was formed, Rome was ruled by kings. Roman history tells of 7 kings starting with Romulus.
Right, starting with Romulus was the 7 kings, right? Go ahead.
In 753 BC, each king was elected by the people for free. The king was very powerful.
For life.
For life.
Each king was elected by the people for life. So there was no voting them out of power and nothing like that. This is before Rome was a republic. Keep going.
The king was very powerful and acted as the leader of both the government and the Roman religion. Under the king was a group of 300 men called the Senate. Senators had little real power during the kingdom of Rome. They served more as advisors to the king and helped him to run the government.
Go ahead.
Being the Roman Republic.
The beginning.
The beginning of the Roman Republic.
This is the beginning of not having a king and only the Senate is ruling, right? Go ahead.
The last king of Rome was Tarquin.
Yep.
The Proud. Tarquin was a cruel and violent king. Eventually, the Roman people and the Senate revolted and expelled Tarquin from the city. They formed a new government without a king called the Roman Republic in 509 BC.
Right, go ahead.
Under the Roman Republic, the government of Rome was ruled by 2 elected leaders called
councils.
Councils.
Yeah, they were co-councils. So you know how now they have like a president and what would you call it, a House of Representatives, a Congress. Somebody can't, you know what I mean, the president can veto. The president can make a law and then the Congress can veto it, so the president don't have so much power to where it's absolute. You know what I mean? So that's why that's how they did it in Rome. They had two leaders, a council, 2 councils, and then or consuls, my bad, 2 consuls, and then they had the republic, the Senate that was underneath them. You know what I mean? So one person couldn't just say something like, "Oh yeah, we going to war here," without the other one agreeing with it. What's up, Caviar?
So like how America is right now.
Yeah. That's where America gets their democracy from. America gets their democracy from Greece and from Rome. Go ahead.
The councils only serve.
Oh, hold on. What's up, sis? Yeah, that's gonna be gone. There would not be no more democracy, none of that. Whatever Christ says goes. Con, sir. You know what I'm saying? Christ's gonna say, "Hey, go build this over there and go do that." Con, sir. Because I'm a fly. That's how I feel. I'm sorry. I just feel like that. Okay. If Christ wants me to fly, He'll let me fly. That's give me my wings. I gotta be a peacock and go. Yeah. You think what I'm saying? Like with that's how it's gonna be. Whatever Christ says to his 144,000, you know what I mean? To his, you know what I mean? He's gonna, hey, go get that done. We're gonna go get it done. Con, sir. You know what I mean? We're gonna be dictating to the people what to do, how to do it, where to do it. And it's gonna be dictated by those laws, statutes, and commandments in the Bible. There will be no more pork on the planet being ate. There will be pigs, but there won't be no pork chops. And what else? Pig feet and chitlins and ribs, and you know what I mean. It won't be no more of that. It won't be no more Easter, no Thanksgiving, no more Christmas, no 4th of July, none of that. None of that gonna be on the. That's why some people gotta go. I'm not a teacher of that, but that's what the Bible says. 2/3 is gonna have to be cut off. You know what I mean? I'm not a believer. I pray that the Lord don't cut 2/3 off of Israel, but people like our mothers and grandmothers and some of our kids are gonna have to be. They're gonna want to bring Christmas into the kingdom, birthdays into the kingdom, and I hope the Lord commits me. Be like, hey, make sure none of that comes in here. Come on, sir. You know what I'm talking about? With a big smile on my face. You know what I'm talking about? You feel me? You know what I'm talking about? So when people bring in Easter baskets to the gates, I can just swoop down and be like, you know what I'm talking about? Give me that. You feel me? You can't bring that into the kingdom. You want that in the kingdom, you can't come in. You know what I mean? What's up, Caviar?
At least I get to come back and experience it, though, too.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know what I mean? They shouldn't have to die to be able to get the kingdom. You know what I mean? They should just be able to be like, come, sir, and throw them Easter eggs away. Come, sir, and burn that Christmas tree up. You dig what I'm saying? Go ahead.
It was during the Republic that Rome expanded to become one of the great civilizations in world history.
Right. It was because of that Senate, right? Can somebody give me some stuff about why Rome was so big in world history?
Oh, so big?
Yeah, why it was so great in civilization.
Because we was in.
Damn, let's look down. Damn, Caviar, that's great. That's a good one.
Because they conquered so many people.
Yeah, Why did they conquer so much land?
God gave them the sword.
Yeah, God gave them the sword. This is when you're gonna have to start knowing a little bit about Rome, the war machine.
Rome, the war machine?
Yeah. I have an article about that too.
You talking about how they used elephants?
They didn't use elephants.
That was a Rome, or was that Egypt?
No, that was Carthage.
Carthage.
You talking about Hannibal Barca? He used elephants. He had war elephants.
So you talking about how the defenses and everything was. Their stance, or how they stood.
The Roman war machine. Taziar, you want to take a shot at it? Yeah, that too. They did have the best weapons of the day. Of that day, they had the best weapons, best made weapons. When we was in there's a Netflix documentary called when we was in Passover, right? We was trying to watch it. I forgot what it's called. No, but it wasn't. It's not. It was one about the Ottoman Empire, but there's another one about Rome. The first one was about Rome. I forgot what it's called. I will let y'all know next week. You know what I'm talking about? But it's like you can go on it and it has like different. It's like a documentary about Rome. Rome was the first empire or the first kingdom that had a professional military. All they did was train for war and go to war. You know what I mean? But before then, everybody was like, they'll like do crops. You know what I'm talking about? Like they'd be farmers and then they'll pick up swords, and you know what I mean, and train with swords. But they were farmers also during when it wasn't at war. Rome was the first one that had a professional military. You know how now the American military they train year round, and Navy SEALs and Rangers and Green Berets and all these different types of soldiers. Right, Rome was the first people that had that. The first people that was just, they were nothing but soldiers, and they trained year round for war, even when they wasn't at war. That's what it means when they say they were blessed with the sword. What's up, Capricorn?
So we're gonna be doing that.
What?
As the Republican return or not?
I have no idea. We can ask Cap that this Sunday. I have no idea. I don't want to. I don't want to wait. I don't want to just war all the time. I don't want to just train all the time. Sometimes I want to go to Passover and just you hear me, and just chill with my ninjas. You know what I mean? And just chill with with the homies and have a drink and say Kwam Yashala. You know what I mean? You dig what I'm saying? So when Christ returns, I don't want to be a soldier all my life. You know what I mean? Even though I know I'm a soldier for Christ, but sometimes I want some off time. Just to go, maybe walk the fields with my wives or something. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Show my son how to, I don't know, how to cook a steak. things that we take for granted now that we don't get to do because we're always slaving. Or we're always, you know what I mean? You dig what I'm saying? Because we don't do it, we don't get to do a lot of things. Because we're always working. Work. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Interesting facts about the early history of Rome. The poet Virgil told another founder.
Forget about that. Yeah, there's one more. Let me get to. Come on, man, hurry up. I got a lot of scriptures to go through. I didn't think I had that many scriptures. I sent you one. It says, "History, Ancient Rome, Republic."
The Roman Republic.
Yep.
For 500 years, the Roman Republic. For 500 years, ancient Rome was governed by the Roman Republic. This was a form of government that allowed for people to elect officials. It was a complex government with a constitutional, detailed laws, and elected officials such as senators. Many of the ideas and structures of this government became the basis for modern democracies. Right.
So now, what they were doing back then, that's what we do now in all the democracies. You know what I mean? Why is Russia and America always beefing with each other? It's about land, but it's not all. It's not about land. It's about land, but it's not about land. No.
So it's about trying to gather these people together.
Nope. Taziar, you want to take a stab at it?
America and Russia beef each other.
Yep.
Because if they go head to head, they're gonna finish like.
No, this is when you have this is when you have to go back 50, 60 years to the Cold Wars. Right? America's always been about democracy, and Russia was always about what? Communism. You know what I mean? And one country goes into a country and tries to take over, and then so communism don't get too big or democracy don't get too big, the other one has to step up.
So they're gonna constantly be at war?
Mm-hmm. They're gonna constantly be at war. Ever since the Cold War, when Russia and in the 50s when they had that little standoff and Sputnik and all that, right? When they thought they were going to launch nuclear warheads over here, and they thought they were going to knock nuclear warheads over there in Russia. Ever since then, every war on the planet has been about Russia and America, democracy and communism.
Like I said, if they were to go head to head with each other,
Mm-hmm.
they will annihilate the Earth.
I'm not gonna say annihilate the Earth. They will when they throw nuclear bombs into it,
Right.
which is gonna happen. When they go head to head, when Russia and America go head to head, they're gonna throw nuclear bombs into it. They're not gonna not go throw nuclear bombs into it.
Why they don't?
Why they beef so hard?
Why they beef so hard?
Yeah,
Well, they want dominion over the whole planet.
yeah, they
One of
do.
them does.
Yeah, both of them do. That's why when in the 80s, right, when Russia went into Saudi Arabia, right, and they were fighting the Taliban, right, in the 80s, Russia was. Who stepped up and gave Osama bin Laden weapons?
Bush City.
Hmm?
Bush City.
Yeah, Bush Senior did, right? America stepped up and gave them weapons to fight the Russians, right? In the 80s with the Sandinistas in Nicaragua, right? The who's they were selling drugs in America to fund the war in Nicaragua, right? Against who? The Contras and the Sandinistas. One were communists backed by Russia, and one was Republicans backed by America. Same thing with Cuba, right? Same thing with Cuba with Fidel Castro and Batista. One was backed by Batista was backed by America, and then Fidel Castro was backed by Russia, right? So when Fidel Castro took over, they put what's names in Russia, bombs in Russia. I mean, they put bombs in Cuba, Russian bombs in Cuba. And then what did America do? Embargo. We're not doing no trade. Nobody could do no trade or anything with Cuba. That's why until last year, Cuba still had cars from the 40s as brand new cars. Real talk. You feel me? Now, right? With the BRIC and NATO, right? Who's a part of BRIC?
Ukraine.
No, Ukraine's not with BRIC. Ukraine's trying to be with NATO. Russia, China, Iran, Brazil, and all those South American countries. Not America. Mexico. Mexico is trying to get with BRIC. I don't think it's gonna happen because that's too close to America. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. America will wipe Mexico off this continent before that happens. Huh? On the Mexican brothers? I'm just saying America's gonna bomb the bejeebas out of Mexico before they join BRIC. I know they got allies too. Ukraine got allies, but that didn't stop nothing. But that didn't stop Russia from going in there and bombing Ukraine to piss because they were trying to join NATO. That's too close to Russia. It's not gonna happen. And Mexico is too close to America. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. They're gonna wage war before that happens. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be war, bro. I'm just, you know what I mean? I don't hope so. I don't hope so because that's a lot of my Mexican brothers that are gonna die. They're gonna die. You know what I mean? I don't know if Mexico even has an army. Okay. Yeah, all right. All right. Well, we're talking about the war machine here. We're talking about the war machine here. You know, so if I know one thing about America, America drop a nuclear bomb on Mexico. They did it as Japan. They did it twice to do two different cities. And Hiroshima and Nagasaki is still unlivable. Is that a word? Unlivable.
To this day?
Yeah, to this day, they can't live there. Radiation to disperse, and then it still messes up the soil to where you can't grow things there. It's like, yeah, they dropped it, and they did it twice, bro. They didn't drop it on Hiroshima and was like, yeah, I told y'all we about that. It was like, no, do it again. Boom! I told y'all we was about that. You feel me? You know what I'm talking about? Like 2 bombs, bro. stopped the whole war with Japan. You know what I mean? Japan didn't want no more smoke. Like after that, like, you know what I mean? This is the same people that bombed when those towers went down. America bombed Iraq for 24 hours straight. And then they said, oh, my bad. That's the wrong country. Go to Saudi. He's in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia did it. Am I wrong? Look, I was only 11 years old. You know what I'm talking about when the towers fell. But I remember them saying that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And when they found Saddam Hussein, he was living underground in a little 5x5 underground bunker. Looked like he ain't ate for days, and they pulled him out and killed him. You feel me? They killed him. And then it was like, oh yeah, Saddam Hussein. I mean, that's what they was like, oh yeah, well, Osama bin Laden was the one that orchestrated it. Then why was y'all messing with Saddam Hussein for? Taziar.
Because they knew better than to mess with them Arabians.
Hell no, they still went to Saudi with fuck with Saudi Arabia. What? They did it. They
did not go to Saudi Arabia.
They did go to Saudi Arabia. George Bush was getting get back for Desert Storm.
They didn't go to the country of Saudi Arabia.
No, what I'm saying is the reason why they went to Iraq, because George Bush was getting Saddam Hussein in Iraq.
Yeah.
George Bush was getting get back for his daddy. Because his daddy lost when Saddam Hussein took over Kuwait in Desert Storm, they burnt all that oil up, and so they didn't have no reason to fight no more. You remember that movie Jarhead, and they had to pull out of Kuwait because there was so much hazard material. Yeah, George Bush was getting get back for his daddy. You feel me? You know what I'm talking, real talk.
They never went to Saudi Arabia.
They just pulled out of Saudi Arabia last year. In Afghanistan. Was it last year or the year before last when they left all the weapons there?
No, that was whenever what's his name was president.
No, it was like last year.
It was Joe Biden.
Yeah, it was like last year or the year before that when they pulled out of Saudi Arabia and left all those weapons out. Left all those weapons there. They've been in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Yeah, they been in Saudi Arabia, bro. They don't. Yeah, like they weren't supposed to be in what's that called? They weren't supposed to be in Libya either, but they was in Libya when Gaddafi died. When they killed Gaddafi, they weren't supposed to be there neither. They're not supposed to be in a lot of places, but they're there.
Ooh, sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Didn't they just get caught spying on all the allies too?
Yeah.
They did. They just got caught spying on all the allies.
You feel me? They dropped. These are the same people that killed that Iranian general a couple years back, and then Iranian people, the Iranian government swore they're gonna get back for it. They swore it. They swore it. You know what I'm talking about? You remember that? I'm just saying, I pay attention sometimes, just sometimes, bro. Yeah, so go ahead, Caviar. Let's keep going. All right.
The Roman Republic. For 500 years, ancient Rome was governed by the Roman Republic. This was a form of government that allowed for people to elect officials. It was complex.
Wait, yeah, you read that. Who were the leaders of the Roman Republic?
It's like leaders of the Roman Republic. The Roman Republic had a number of leaders and groups that helped to govern. Elected officials were called
magistrates.
Magistrates. And there were different levels of titles of magistrates.
Mm-hmm.
The Roman government.
Hold on. So they had different titles for the magistrates. You know, like councilmen and aldermen and House of Representatives and the Senate House and the House of Congress and the judges, district attorneys. They have different titles for those magistrates that are elected. What's up, Caviar?
You call your own said slightly, so you're speaking of Afghanistan, sir, not Saudi Arabia. Afghanistan.
Yeah, he could be right. They're in Saudi Arabia too. Just trust me, you'll see it. Do you think it's not camp? They're in Saudi Arabia too. When Saudi Arabia pulls away from NATO or pulls away from America, you'll see it. You're gonna see it. You're gonna be like, oh, wasn't Saudi Arabia just like? Oh no, it was Saudi Arabia that where they had the nuclear bomb, the nuclear plant blew up or something like that. Was that Saudi Arabia? Or was it Afghanistan? It was still Saudi Arabia.
I did see that on the news though.
Yeah, because Saudi Arabia, they don't wear suits. They wear their kings wear.
You're talking about the recent one that just happened. Because there was another one that happened where there was a building that just exploded because it had nuclear stuff in there as well.
Yeah, that was there. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The building.
And it was supposed to be like vacant or something.
Mm-hmm.
Still had all that nuclear stuff in there. But they just had a recent explosion just happen recently. I don't know what that was. I seen it on my timeline.
Caviar, we can keep reading.
Okay.
You call y'all or let me know. You'll let us know.
The Roman government was very complicated to have lots of leaders and councils. Here are some of the titles and what they did. Councils.
It's consuls.
Oh, sorry, councils. At the top of the Roman Republic was the consul. The consul was a very powerful position. In order to keep the consul from becoming a king or dictator, there were always 2 consuls elected, and they only served for 1 year.
Yep.
Also, the consuls could vote or veto each other if they didn't agree on something. The consuls had a wide range of powers. They decided when to go to war, how much taxes to collect, and what the laws were.
Go ahead.
Senators. The Senate was a group of
Prestigious.
leaders who advised the consuls. The consuls usually did what the Senate recommended. Senators were selected for life.
Go ahead.
As a plebeian.
See, that sounds like the House of Representatives, right? House of Representatives and the Senate.
Okay.
Aren't they there for life or until they
get stepped down?
Until they step down, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
To the whole really.
Yeah, they're there until they step down. Once they get elected to the Senate and the House of Representatives, they don't get voted out. They there until they resign. Go ahead. The plebeian council.
Plebeian council. The plebeian council was also called the People's Assembly. This was how the common people, plebeians, could elect their own leaders, magistrates, pass laws, and hold court.
Now, who is that? I think that's the House of Representatives, right?
Okay.
The House of Representatives are who we put in, who we vote for to go to Senate and Congress and stuff like that for the people, right? Go ahead.
Tribunes. Tribunes were the representatives of the plebeian council. They could veto laws made by the Senate. Governors, as Rome conquered new lands.
You know what? Okay, the plebeian council is like the, what would you call it? The plebeian council is like the city council and the aldermans and things like that are local, and then the tribunes are the ones that like the House of Representatives. Go ahead.
As Rome conquered new lands, they needed someone to be a local ruler. The Senate would appoint a governor to rule the land, or a province.
Province, yeah, that's the governors. That's what we have in every state. There's a governor.
Damn, that's exactly how Rome said it. The governor would be in charge of the local Roman army and would also be responsible to collect taxes. Governors were also called
Proconsuls.
proconsuls.
Right. Go ahead.
Ideal. An ideal was a city official who was responsible for the maintenance of public buildings as well as public festivals. Many politicians who wanted to be elected to a higher office, like council or consul, would become an ideal so they could hold big public festivals and gain popularity with the people.
Those are like aldermen. Go ahead.
Censor. The censor counted the citizens and kept track of the census. They also had some responsibility to maintain public morality and to look after public finances.
Right, those are people that give the census every 10 years.
It's like,
Yeah, they do that here. Everything that's in Rome is here in America. What's up?
so like that's what that would be. The governor would be like the mayor.
Yeah, the governor would be like the governors, the mayors.
Okay.
The Adal would be the aldermen. The plebeian council will be the like the city council, and then the tribunes would be like the House of Representatives. We know the Senate already, and we know the councils. You know what I mean? Exactly how Rome was set up. That's how America's set up, and that's how it is. In some places, they still use in like England and stuff like that. They still use these names. You know what I mean? Like prime ministers, and they still use these same names for their democracy.
No,
that's it.
Oh, you know what the Constitution?
Oh snap! I forgot. I ain't even see that. Well, I've seen it, but I ain't even. Go ahead.
Okay, the Constitution. The Roman Republic did not have a precise writing, or it's like precise written constitution. The Constitution was more of a set of guidelines or principles that were passed down from generation to generation. And it provided for separate branches of government and balances of power.
Damn, don't that sound like the Constitution here in America? You have to, because the Constitution says about the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch. One that deal with the laws, one that deal with enforcing the laws, and one that deals with like the money. The different branches of government. Keep reading.
Okay. Were all people treated equally? No. People were treated differently based on their wealth, gender, and citizenship. Women did not get the right to vote or hold office. Also, if you had more money, you got more voting power. Councils, senators, and governors only came from the rich.
Aristocracy.
This may sound unfair, but it was a big change from other civilizations where the average person had no say at all. In Rome, the regular people could band together and have considerable power through the assembly and their tribune.
And the tribunes. That's the reason why Julius Caesar was so important, because Julius Caesar came from nothing. He came from nothing. He went to he was joined the army. He became big in the army and became all the way to a general in the army, and then he conquered for Rome. You know what I mean? And then the ordinary people seen that. You know what I mean? Ordinary people seen that, and he was a man of the people, and so the people loved him. But then also the council loved him because he was winning wars, right? So he made them seem like they was right. And then the soldiers loved him because he was a man of the soldier. He was the man of the, like he came from where they came from in the armies as captains and soldiers, and you know what I mean, and officers. What's up?
I want to say, isn't this how we get treated today though? But pretty much, but it's kind of like job off track.
Yeah, basically.
Now women can vote, but they trying to get rid of the
I mean,
Trying to change that.
really, if you're a Black, Hispanic, or Native American, your vote never counted anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever happened to that recount in Florida? No, I'm playing. I'm playing. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, bro. It's what's up, Taziar?
Julius was the Israelite?
Who? Julius Caesar? Hell no.
Oh,
Here, give me the Spartacus. Now we're gonna get to Israelite. You want to know about Israelite? Let's know about Israelite. Yes. Yes. If you know anything,
Roman,
So he was a white man that understood.
he wasn't a white man.
Spartacus.
Who?
no, he wasn't, but they showed him
He's
portraying him
Roman.
at the movies and stuff.
Yeah, everybody's white. Everybody's white in the movies.
No, what I'm asking is, was he a Jew?
Who?
Julius.
Julius Caesar?
Yeah.
Hell no.
He's Roman.
Hell no. And you know
Why would we revere him so much?
who reveres him?
We were talking very
No, that's why Julius Caesar was important to the Roman Empire, because he was the first emperor. Because before that, there was no emperor. There were consuls and there was a republic. And then Julius Caesar came apart with Pompey, and what's the name? What's that dude name? Marcus Crassus. And they came together, and and pushed Julius Caesar up to be a dictator or a one council. You know what I mean? And in times of where there was problems in the Roman Empire, they were able to push a consul up to be a dictator for 10 years. Julius, huh?
That sounds like yeah.
Yeah,
The
Yeah.
Castro did the same thing.
I believe it.
One of us was Hispanic.
Fidel Castro was?
Yeah.
Shut up, bro. I didn't know that. I thought Fidel Castro was
Hispanic.
man of the people. What's up, Capiar?
I was gonna say this is why they push him so hard in the school systems.
Who, Julius Caesar? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, Julius Caesar. And because he was a man of the people of Rome. The people of Rome liked him. So when he died, like Rome was in despair. You know what I mean? The soldiers was hurt, and the people were hurt. The only people that wasn't hurt was the Senate, which was Julius Caesar's homeboys. When Julius Caesar got into power, he put all of his homeboys that he went to war with, like his generals and captains and shit, he put them in the Senate. You feel me? And then they turned around and stabbed him in the back. Literally. That's literally that, and that's the messed up part. But that's an Edomite for you. Stabbing his brother in the back, killing his brother. That's an Edomite for you. But that's all you have to do is look up who were the plotters against Julius Caesar, and it's gonna bring up like all of their histories and stuff like that. And they all was at war with Julius Caesar, not going to war against him, but like they were when he was going to war, they were his trusted counsel at war. You know what I mean? Like, and he put them in power, and then he came into power, put them in power, and then they stabbed them in the back.
They had a good cheer.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's what after Julius Caesar's death, Mark Antony went down to Egypt with Cleopatra and Julius Caesar's son, and he raised up an army and went back and fought against him and fought against, you know what I mean? That's the second triumph. Yeah. Mark Antony was a real nigga. That's who. Remember we was at Camp Capiar, and I was like, "You look like Mark Antony."
Oh yeah.
You remember? And I put up the picture, and it looked just like him. I was like, "Well, I'm trying to tell you, a Spanish Roman." And he was like, "I'm from Spain. I'm Spanish. I know you look like Mark Antony."
Oh, yeah, okay.
And that Cap was like, "Boy, it's back in the earth." It looked just like him, didn't it? I'm trying to tell you.
He was short though.
Right. Mark Antony was short. Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, they were not big men. They fought hard. They fought hard. Spartacus wasn't even a big man. He fought like 10'10". You know what I'm talking about? Because you know he's an Israelite. Give me that Spartacus. Did I send you the Spartacus one? Yeah, let's go ahead.
Spartacus was a Grecian gladiator who, along with
Crixus,
Gannicus,
Cassius,
and
Arnemaeus.
was one of the escaped slave leaders in the Third
Servile
War.
Yeah. So Spartacus. So if you know anything about the Israelite diaspora, right? We got taken away when Alexander died and all that. We was in Greece already. But if you go above Greece and to the or in between Greece and Israel, there's a place called Thrace where Turkey is now. Right? Where Turkey is now. That's another place where we settled a lot. And we used to be like mercenary soldiers for Rome. Right? So when Rome ever needed soldiers over there on that side of the earth, they'll come and get us and we'll fight in the Roman army. Right? Spartacus was one of those Israelites. You know, we had Israelite civilizations over there. One of those Israelites that was in the Roman army, like Paul or like Cornelius. You know what I mean? That wasn't Roman, but they had Roman citizenship and that fought in the Roman army. Right? But then one point in time, Spartacus refused to fight for the Roman army. And they took him into captivity into Capula, which is a city in Rome where the games and the gladiator games were really, really big. Everybody understand that? Go ahead. But Spartacus being and that's not Spartacus is not his real name. Spartacus is a gladiator name that was given to him, a slave name that was given to him. You dig what I'm saying? They don't have his real name in you know what I mean? But he was a no nonsense nigga. He got in the gladiator ring, learned everything that he could learn, and then took over and planned his escape from slavery. So you like that, right? I know you like that. You know, sometimes you're like, yeah, he escaped from slavery, killed his slave master, and went on a tear all through Rome. Real talk. To where they had where Julius Caesar, Marcus Crassus, had to get Julius Caesar to come and, you know what I mean, and try to stop him. And Pompey had to come all the way from fighting in wherever he was fighting at. I think he was fighting like Jerusalem in the Middle East. He was fighting in that area, and he had to come all the way back to actually try to help put the rebellion down too. His rebellion, like that rebellion he was almost to Rome. He went to Sicilia, or he was going his way to the coast, and then doubled back and came towards Rome. You feel me? Like, real talk, real talk. Spartacus was on that, but remember, he used to fight in the Roman army, so he knew all their tactics and everything. You know what I mean? And then he learned how to be a gladiator, and he learned the art of killing. You know what I mean? And then him and his gladiators taught the slaves how to kill. Because he was freeing slaves and teaching them how to kill as gladiators and how to fight. You know what I mean? Like, hey, they have a couple movies about Spartacus. He's a white boy in Spartacus. You know what I mean? And then they have a show also on Stars. The show is pretty lit. The show is pretty lit. I'm not gonna lie. They show him as a white man too, but it's pretty lit. You feel me? If you ever want to see a whole bunch of blood and guts and stuff like that, you can watch that show. You know what I mean?
What, you talking about 300?
No, I'm talking about Spartacus. What are you talking about? 300 is like 400 years before this. Go ahead.
Little is known about him beyond the events of the war, and surviving historical accounts are sometimes contradictory. All sources agree that he was a former gladiator and an accomplished military leader. So now he was born. The rebellion interpreted by some as an example of oppressed people fighting for their freedom against a slave-owning oligarchy.
I don't know how to say that either. Oligarchy.
Oligarchy. Has provided inspiration from many political thinkers.
Political thinkers.
It's like political thinkers.
Right. Go ahead.
Okay. And has been featured in literature, television, and film. The philosopher
Voltaire.
described the Third Servile War as the only just war in history.
Right. The only just war in history. They would look. When I tell you they tried everything to stop Spartacus, they even tried. So Spartacus marched up a mountain, right? And they tried to camp at the base of the mountain to keep him from coming down and to starve him out. So him and his gladiators scaled down the side of the mountain and outflanked the men that was camped at the base. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's why he was an accomplished military leader. His military genius was something crazy. You know what I mean? You like to hear about these wars? Yeah. So just go. Yeah, go ahead.
Although this interpretation is not specifically contradicted by classical historians, no historical account mentions that the goal was to end slavery in the Republic.
Right. He didn't want to end slavery in the Republic. He just wanted some get back. And Spartacus was one of the ones that knew that going back to Rome, that going towards Rome and was going to be the end of the rebellion. Because they were not going to let him sack Rome. You know what I mean? That's why he went to the coast to go to Sicily. But then his captains, Crixus and Gannicus and all of them, they wanted to go sack Rome. He was like, if we do that, that's the end of us. You know what I mean? We definitely gonna die. You know what I mean? He said, we're already right here on the coast of Italy. We might as well get some boats, sail to Sicily, and you know what I mean, and take cover there, because Sicily is not friendly to Rome. It was an island, but it was not friendly to Rome. It was more like Carthaginian people still. You know what I mean? So
You want me to go to early life?
now I want you to go to the enslavement and escape.
Okay. Enslavement and escape. According to the differing sources and their interpretation, Spartacus was a captive taken by the legions. Spartacus was trained at the gladiatorial school Ludus near Capua, belonging to the
Lentulus Batiatus.
Quintus Batiatus. He was a heavyweight gladiator called a Bio.
Mm-hmm.
These fighters carried a large oblong shield.
And used a sword.
I was going to say scutum. They call it scutum.
Yeah, scutum.
And used a sword with a
Broad.
it's like a broad, straight blade.
Yeah, that was called a gladius. Uh-huh.
About 18 inches long and 18 inches long. In 73 BC, Spartacus was among a group of gladiators plotting an escape. About 70 slaves were part of the plot. Though few in number, they seized kitchen kitchen utensils, fought their way free from the school, and seized several wagons of gladiatorial weapons and armor.
They got their escape with kitchen tools, kitchen utensils, butcher's knives, forks. You know what they? You said what? Right. Yeah. You feel me? And that's how real they was. They was like, you gonna let me free? You know what I'm talking about? They got butcher's knives and forks and knives and stab people up. You gonna let them free, bro? Sound like prison. Go ahead, Captain.
The escaped slaves defeated soldiers sent after them, plundered the region surrounding
Capua.
recruited many other slaves into their ranks, and eventually retired to a more defensible position on Mount
Vesuvius.
Vesuvius.
Yeah, Mount Vesuvius is where they went up there and they started camping at the base. Go ahead.
Once free, the escaped gladiators chose Spartacus and two
Gallic.
Gallic slaves,
Crixus.
Crixus and Onnomus.
Yeah, Animaeus.
Oh, Animaeus.
So what they were, the Gallic people, right? The Gallic people are where France is today. The Rome didn't take over Gaul yet. But now that was called the Gallic. They were still like in what would you call it? Into slave trading. So they'll go capture Gallic people and put them in slavery. Just like they would do with the Germanic people and everybody else, they would put them in slavery. They wasn't conquering them yet, because Julius Caesar is the one that went over there and conquered Gaul, conquered Germanicus, and it went towards England and conquered half of England. Nobody could ever get all of England, because they get to the northern part where Scotland and Ireland and Wales is, and they couldn't do it. That's why even now the Irish Revolutionary Army, they fight against England. You know what I mean? The IRA, they fight against England now because they were never conquered, you know what I mean, to be by the Romans and everything like and the Romans. They were conquered by England, but they wasn't conquered by Roman people. You understand that, Taziar?
They won't conquer other white people?
Yeah. But you said they were conquering other white people. The Gallic people are not white. The Germanic people are not white. The Celtic people are not white. The European people, the Etruscan people, and the Sabian people, they're not white.
Nobody over there is white.
Yeah,
And after
they wasn't.
we got run out of there, they became white.
They became white because they became Roman, because Julius Caesar conquered them and they became Roman. So they started mixing with the Roman people.
Yeah.
They started mixing with the Roman people, so they became white. They became light skinned, but they're not actual light skinned people. They're not actual white skinned people. They're actually dark skinned people. Japhetic people are actually dark skinned. They look like Samoan people. Samoan people. Who else are like Japhetic people? Like Polynesian people. You know how they like dark skin. Some of them they could pass for black if they didn't have such straight hair, and you know what I mean, tongue-in people. You understand? Keep going, Caviar.
As their leaders, although Roman authors assumed that the escaped slaves were a
Homogeneous
group. It's like, what is homogeneous?
Hey, bro, I don't know. Somebody Google that for me. Because if I'm thinking about homogeneous, y'all know what I'm thinking
I
about.
think it's that same thing.
Human being.
Yeah, because Homo sapien is like, right? Homo sapien is like when a straight man and straight, right? Or no, that's Homo. Is that Homo sapien?
Yeah,
Homo
sapien is who
Like-
understands straight.
Yeah, like a straight person. Yeah, and then homosexual is somebody that goes both ways. But I don't know. I'm not understanding about this homo word
That's what I was
because,
I didn't know that.
huh?
I didn't even think of that.
Genius.
Which is a smart person. Extremely smart. They were really extremely smart. I mean,
Spartacus was a genius.
Having only one alternative form, or one elite, or one gene, or gene.
Oh, homogeneous group was Spartacus, saying Spartacus was the only one leader. Yes.
The next one is homogeneous. It's meant to.
Yeah.
I'll kind of see what it's saying because it explains it on letters. It's homogeneous group with Spartacus as their leader. And I think Spartacus was just their leader.
Yeah, everybody thinks Spartacus was just their leader, but he wasn't. But I mean, I've never read anything that said Spartacus was the one leader by itself. He always had his captains or the men that was with him, the gladiators that escaped with him. He always, gave them freedom of choice to do with their part, their soldiers, what they want to do. We want to follow them, you know what I mean? Go ahead.
Okay. They may have projected their own
Hierarchical.
Mm-hmm. Their own hierarchical view of military leadership onto the spontaneous organization, reducing other slave leaders to subordinate positions in their accounts. So you want to look third survival?
Yeah, I want to get to his death.
Okay. Yeah. Also, you want to go back to his
You know what? Hold there. We're gonna start the third survival war next week.
Okay.
Because then after that, we're gonna get it to Julius Caesar because Julius Caesar's gonna come and help defeat him, and that's what's gonna make Julius Caesar more famous. Now I'm gonna make Julius Caesar more famous. He was already famous because he was at war. He was rising in the army, but then when he came and did what he did with Spartacus, they made him more famous. And with that, I'll pass the class over to Priest and Officer Capiar.
Okay. On the door. This is our ISUPK security announcements. We're at the ISUPK started out 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They're here to share themselves with the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Time, which is commandment. You find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Maisha means tenth in Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund. Free will offering for priests. Not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. We have the Feast of First Fruits. Starts after the Sabbath, unleavened bread, sundown, Sunday, April 9th, 2023. Count 50 days, celebrate the 50th day. Starts Monday. Starts Monday, May 29th, 2023. Start before sundown. And you can find this in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 10 through 22. And then, if anybody wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headband, scarf. And this concludes the ISUPK security announcements. Well, with that, everybody in march, which means to stand. I guess how Sir, Wapano Hakudon, we're going to turn and face the east. Going to read the Lord's Prayer and the Lashwa Kudash. Abanel. Shabbat Shema. Kodash. Haya. Shemka. Yahweh. Malathwaka. Daba'a. Ratazayaka. Haya. Aisha. Ba'arataza. Kawa. Haya. Bashemaya. Lutanana. Nakal. Ka. Yawam. Wasalakna. Kabwathina. Kasalakna. Kabawathiana. Balala. Tabi'ayana. Banasayawan. Abba. Hayashayana. Bayan. Ra. Kaya.
Haya,
Laka,
Laka,
Hamalakwa,
Amalakwa,
Wahala,
Wahala,
Wata Para,
Wata Para,
Lailami,
Maalim,
Amen.
Amen.
What we said was, Our Father,
Our Father,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done
thy will be done
in earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us this day
our daily bread,
our daily bread.
and forgive us our debts,
Forgive us our debts
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not
And lead us not
into temptation,
into temptation,
but deliver us
but deliver us
from evil.
from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom
and the power,
and the power
and the glory,
and the glory
forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it.
All right? Oh, you can be seated. Going to give one courtesy salute to the brothers. Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yao Bashim Yao Shai Barakatam. Yajim Matah. Now I'm going to turn to face sisters. Give one courtesy salute to sisters. Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yao Shema Atam Bashim Yao Shai. Oh, then now you stand up and oh yeah, you stand up and I like this. Oh, you say
Right hand over left.
oh, yeah. I like that. And then
Is that what I'm saying right
Yeah, without the
Without the
yeah.
oh, that's about it. Shema. Oh, it's
there?
No, you say
Like-
Yahweh.
Yahweh. It's like my bad. Yahweh.
Shamar.
Shema.
Ow.
It's
Ow.
like I can't say it's slow.
Atah. Bahashim. Yahweh.
Yajim Matah.
What did she say?
Hmm?
What did she say?
Lord watch.
Lord, watch over the my brother. What is it?
Lord watch over me
So is the Lord watch over me and
in the name of Yahweh. Or y'all,
I-
you
no,
all.
that one. I
In the
actually
name of
know.
Yahweh.
I know the greeting. The other one.
Yeah.
Welcome. All right, Yajim Matah. Class dismissed.